Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we go to a planet with 9 billion people and over 80% of them being living in urban areas, how are we going to be able to provide the basic infrastructure that they need? We're going to be talking about both water and power in this particular segment. We have two experts. One is Carolyn Colella. She is the founder and director of GlobeWater Solar Technologies, and then Quentin T. Kelly, who is the chairman CEO of what's called WorldWater and Solar Technologies. And they're coming in from New Jersey, coming in by conference call. And then sitting right beside me is Dr. Jose Colucci Rios, who is professor retired out of the University of Puerto Rico. Carolyn and Quentin, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Hi, and thank you.
Glad to have you
Hello,
with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you here. And we have both of you, and we'll go back and forth so our viewers will know the voice. Carolyn, describe a little bit for us about the GlobeWater Solar Technologies. What is your organization?
Sure, yes. Hello, and thank you for having us on your show today. It's an honor. So GlobeWater and Solar Technologies, or Globe, is a spin-off of its parent company, WorldWater and Solar Technologies. I formed Globe as a response to the critical findings of issues around the world that stem from the lack of access to clean water and power. And this can be everywhere, rural communities, and even during emergency situations in urban areas, such as Katrina, Superstorm Sandy, flooding in South Carolina, even Sierra Leone flooding of late. When there is no on-grid energy available, there is no means to collect safe, clean water. So the critical issues I just referred to crop up. Hunger, that's malnutrition, poor sanitation, that's disease, and then you can't escape, sadly, you can't escape violence. So who handles the retrieval and collection of water? Mm-hmm. Usually it's the women in communities and their children. So GlobeWater and Solar Technologies' mission is to close the gap, bring the technology to these communities, and alleviate the fundamental pressures, burdens, most especially on women and children in developing nations and beyond, to collect water for their families safely and efficiently.
Yes, and this is something that's really important, Quentin, as you're looking around the globe and talking about the parent company and now GlobeWater Solar Technologies. But why would you, as an American company, really be focusing on these emerging market countries in Latin America, Africa, even Asia, and the South Pacific and other places, instead of just focusing right within your own country?
Sure. Well, Dr. Water, food, and energy are three of the most significant and challenging elements facing the world in the 21st century, and especially facing the emerging nations. So we have the products, the technology to go there, and we can go into these developing countries and bring our technology. I have been in all over the world and have found the needs for this, and the need to create the water and power came about from a time when I was in the Sudan back in the late 80s, and as a result, came back to Princeton University and got some of the smartest scientists that they had who had worked on the NASA space shuttle and began working with me to develop this this technology for these emerging nations.
That's absolutely fantastic. And as you know, looking at our website, and also when Carolyn and I met out at the National Defense University for the Star Tides, we talked about the program that we have, the Power for Peace, which is really the intersect between power, water, and food production. And once you solve those three things, add housing to it, and you really have stable communities, which, as you know, we're not seeing right now in many areas of the world, with almost 60 million people displaced either internally or internationally. So Carolyn, looking at the work that you're doing and talking about Globe, why the focus on women and the young girls?
Well, that's just it. The inspiration behind this is that, we don't see any other. This is a women-owned company, Globe is, and we don't see any other companies concentrating on water and solar, clean energy, clean power, and we're about food and agriculture, water safety and securing that, and as well as safe living conditions for women and young girls and children. So there is a vacuum here. For women are the water handlers of the world, and as a result, they have more to say about what their needs are. So we're here to help close the gap. And I can go on forever about all the number of inspirational moments behind the setup and design of GlobeWater and solar, but we see a need, and we want to get I want to see how we can get our technology to these communities. I
think it's fantastic because, as you know, most young girls in the developing world are taken out of school and they're off gathering wood, or in most cases carrying water, and not being educated. And that's one of the things that's really stymieing the development in many of these countries. I think we're doing okay at connecting with you this way. So Jose, won't you ask the next question? I think it's coming to Carolyn.
Yeah. Yes, good evening, Quentin and Carolyn. This is Jose. I got a question for Yes, I have a question for Carolyn. Following up on the inspiration, what inspired you to forming GlobeWater and solar technologies?
GlobeWater, the inspiration. Well, that's just it. Hang on. A little reverb here. It's about bringing food and water safety to communities, and so children aren't trekking for their water sources. It's bringing the source to the community, and Star Tides was part of that inspiration. What a fantastic means of walking around and seeing all these technologies, and you see what people are doing for communities, whether it's a solar cooking stove or shelter. Excuse me. So we have the technology and desire to find a means to bring to these communities. And so again, there's the inspiration, walking around, meeting with people, discovering the lack of access to fresh, clean water and the complications that come with it, and how do we get our technology to these people for the communities to function and create healthy households.
Yeah, many people don't realize that in the developed world, particularly the United States and other countries like ours, that about half of the infant deaths in the children up to age 5 are by illness caused by the water they're drinking, because most of it is unfiltered and is delivered in a very unsafe way. So, Carolyn, you're to be commended for really having this focus and emphasis. Quentin, going to the processes and the technologies you're provided, I know that you've been working with university professors to come up with the very best and the latest as far as the technologies, but what kind of special products and services are you able to provide through your organization that really addresses the needs not only for the citizens but also for the governments that are hard pressed to provide services to their citizens, in Latin America, Asia, South Pacific, Africa, and other areas of the planet?
Well, Doctor, we have we work very closely with Princeton University. And as I mentioned, the engineers who did in fact design and implement the rocket engine research for the space shuttle, worked with me after I told them about what I saw in the Sudan, where I saw tens of thousands of people dying from lack of water. And I came back. This goes also to the question you asked of Carolyn about the inspiration. Certainly my inspiration, I'll tell you, it was an epiphany. What I saw, the people dying from lack of water, and me standing there a few hundred yards away with the water resource director of the country. And I said, what is the water level here? He said, about 10 meters. I said, are you kidding me? You've got nearly 100,000 people dying from lack of water, and they're standing 10 meters over the water. Give them shovels.
Yeah, that's about 30 feet, roughly.
About 30, 33 feet, that's all.
Yeah.
And that water would be totally drinkable. So we set about working at night here in my farm in a barn. We spent years working on this technology, and we finally created it. And took it out into the countries in early form. We didn't wait too long. I must tell you, I put all of my money into one prototype of this, and I just crossed my fingers and shipped it across to the Philippines, the very first one of these systems. And the president of the country, Fidel Ramos, at that time, said we could really use this if it works. So I took it and sent it over there, and then I went over myself, and then by golly, it worked.
That's
which I was pretty confident it would. But after that, we got a big order from the Philippines, and that's what launched our company.
Fantastic. I just have one last question. We're running out of time. Carolyn, what do you see for the growth and development of GlobeWater solar technologies over the next 5, 10, 15 years? And you have to be quick.
I see mobile. I see our mobile-powered instant utility infrastructure. Instant. We're not talking years. We're not talking millions and billions of dollars. We're talking instant solar power water pumping stations that can get to these communities.
Okay, thank you very much, Carolyn, as we create the Emerald Planet.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs, or to make a tax-free donation, contact cfrip at AOL.com.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America and Reading is Fundamental.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you looking around the globe for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move towards 2050. We're adding 2 billion new people to the planet by that time frame, and possibly there'll be 12 to 13 billion on planet Earth by the end of the century. So how we're going to be able to provide the food, the fuel, the water, all those things that's needed, the basic infrastructure, but particularly the water, which is the essence of life, and the energy to produce that. And we have 2 gentlemen coming on that actually have dedicated their life to this whole thing. And actually a 3rd gentleman, one sitting beside me, he'll be introduced in a minute. We have Quentin T. Kelly, who is the chairman and CEO, and also Mickey Ingles, who is the Vice President of Operations of WorldWater and Solar Technologies, Inc. And then sitting right beside me is Dr. Jose Colucci-Rios, who is the professor retired from the University of Puerto Rico.
Thank you.
And we always like having you with us. Thank you for being here as the special guest and backup. And Quentin and Mickey, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you very much.
Glad to have you here. Quentin, we're going to start off with you. I think we'll get your photograph up here in just a minute so everybody can see the handsome young man that you are. But tell us a little bit about the mission and the philosophy of WorldWater and Solar Technologies. Quentin, are you with us? It seems like we've lost our connection. Jose, you've been...
Okay, can you hear me now?
we have you back. Quentin, tell us a little bit about the mission and philosophy of WorldWater and Solar Technologies, please.
Certainly. When I started the company, it was for the purposes of bringing clean water and clean power to the people in emerging nations. The people who didn't have it, we're going to bring it wherever there's sunshine, and that means around everywhere on this emerald planet. The statistics, I noticed what you were just saying, Doctor. It's really frightening in a sense. I mean, first of all, only 3% of the water in the world is potable. All of this water you see in the oceans, that's of course all saline. The glaciers make up the rest, and out of the 3%, 1.5% is contaminated. So we only have, about, and then the other is glacial. So we have about 0.75% of all the water in the world, everywhere. That's underground and in the seas, for all the people, and that's for every use. They're for drinking, for cooking, and for irrigation. Irrigation uses 70% of all the water in the world. So the fact that the United Nations has done some research, a lot of research, and realizes that about 40% of the population in the year 2025, that's only 10 years, will be without access to water. That means you're going to have some 2 billion people on the move heading for cities that are already, seeking water, and the cities are already undersupplied and overpopulated. This population growth that we have is just going to be too much for the amount of water available now. We have the capability of going in and bringing clean water from any depth. We have the power. We can drive 500, 600 horsepower pumps and motors from our systems. That's our technology that we developed here at with Princeton University scientists. And therefore, we can bring clean water in volume. We can bring all the irrigation water you need, and we will replace diesel pumps where they can't get diesel to people, or you're emitting all the carbons. We can do all of that. So that's our mission, to take this around the world. And that's what we've been doing now for several years.
Yeah, Quentin, I want to compliment you on that, because many people come in, they're bringing in solar power to do various things within these communities, whether in the rural areas or the slum areas of these major, what they're calling mega cities now, 10 to 30 million people living there. Or they're bringing water, but you're forward thinking and where you're bringing both at the same time. And of course, as you know, there's many other things that you can add. You can put cell towers along with these pumping machines that you have. So there's and lighting, and even powering some computers for the farmers while they're sitting in the fields irrigating or whatever. They can be on the computer looking at the stock markets and the price of various commodities. So I just think it's fantastic what you're doing. Mickey, going to you now. You're working in the operations area, so that means you're probably one of the technical guys. How do you serve the governments as well as the citizens with the technologies that you have?
Well, I think having a robust technology is important, and we do have that. But I think one of the strengths that WorldWater and Solar Technologies has, which allows us to serve the needs of governments and the citizens in emerging markets, is our staff. And our staff, collectively, our staff experience is a tremendous strength of our company. It's not enough to just have technology that works, but our staff has experience in international development, and whether they are returned Peace Corps volunteers, or they're former or even current aid workers for NGOs, that skill set allows you to work in nations around the world, and whether that's language skills or cross-cultural skills, cultural sensitivity to whatever culture you're working in, being able to communicate with non-English speakers, and also having a very open mind to solving problems in new and innovative ways that may not be familiar to your run-of-the-mill American or developed world company. And being able to think outside the box, and our staff definitely does that. That allows us to serve our clients wherever they are in the world, and whatever wherever they're coming from, we can meet them and meet their needs.
That's absolutely fantastic, and we're looking at one of your pieces of equipment right here over in the Middle East. And so even in very dry climates like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, wherever it may be, you can certainly provide both the power and the water. Jose, next question.
Yes, good evening, Quentin. What would be the motivation for American firms to design the innovative and resilient technologies and products to produce the clean water and renewable power for export?
Well, Jose, I mentioned a moment ago how the market is going to grow exponentially because of the growing population and the constant reduction of available water, of good water. In the United States, we have the privilege of having this wonderful technical educational system, and a lot of really great engineering people, like the guy you were just talking to, Mickey Ingles, who, by the way, I want to add was a member of the Peace Corps. For a while there, everybody I was hiring was part of the Peace Corps, because those people know how to go out and then to make things happen, irrespective of the problems. So we have this ability. As I mentioned, Princeton University scientists and engineers worked with us in developing this. technology, and there is a market out there that's simply going to grow and grow and grow, and it's a hunger and a thirst, if you pardon the words, a thirst to solve this, and we bring solutions. That's the aim in my life, and that's our mission too. So.
Yeah, looking at this, the two images here that you provided, one with the gentleman raising the bottle of water, which is clean. In some of the African countries where we've dealt and worked on projects like this, they say they've never seen clean water. If it's not turbid or almost muddy brown, they don't think it's actually real water. And then you look at the photos of the children here. Some of these countries are 30 to 50% of the population is under 30 years of age.
Right.
And so they're going to be on this planet a long time. And so, Mickey, that goes to you. What are some of the special features that you have in your equipment that makes WorldWater and solar technology so compelling to be in so many countries around the globe?
Well, I think it's certainly necessary, and it's important to have a piece of equipment that works wherever it is. But it's one thing to develop a piece of equipment that works in the lab, and it's another thing to develop a piece of equipment that will work and continue to work in the developing world. And so first and foremost, our equipment is rugged. It is designed to withstand lots of different environmental factors. You had mentioned our machines in Iraq withstanding dry, dusty conditions, also salt environments. And then to make sure that your machines are simple enough to operate, that non-English speakers can operate them, whether someone is literate or not is not an issue. And then make it intuitive. And you also mentioned, remote monitoring, and that is a capability we offer. And so it's a combination of all of those features which allow us to put a piece of equipment out in the developing world, and then also maintain it and make sure that it continues to do its job.
Yeah, I tell you, it's incredible. We have this image here of this very heavy equipment moving your technology around, and it's something that when you look at the conditions it's going into virtually every place you're putting this equipment, it really is a stressor on any kind of equipment with extra heat, humidity, sand, whatever it may be. We're just about running out of time, and Quentin, what do you see for the growth and development of your company over the next 5, 10, 15 years? And you've got about 20 seconds to do all that.
It is one of the most challenging things in my life and in our lives from our company. We see a huge growth. We're preparing for that. Everybody in our company is I think, getting younger every year because we know that the job is going to get bigger every year. So we're all over, in Asia, Africa, South America, and we're going to continue, and we're just going to try to rise to meet the ever-growing problem.
Quentin and Mickey, thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you so much.
Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about nothing very nice. Homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Why don't you just wash your car at home?
When I wash my car, everything runs down the street and down into the storm drains. With all the chemicals and the soaps and waxes, the last thing I want to do is poison my own drinking water. At least here, it's all contained and recycled on site. That's why I also take my car in for oil changes instead of doing it myself. I might take a chance on spilling stuff. You know what the best part is?
What?
More time to kick back and watch the game.
How far would you go to protect the planet?
I want you to build an ark.
Here we go. Okay, that's good. Oh, okay. Ow!
Maybe there's another way.
People, the flood is imminent!
Is it too much to ask for a little precipitation?
Go to fightglobalwarming.com to find out what you and your community can do to reduce global warming pollution.
Somewhere around the world, there are men and women of the armed forces risking their lives, helping rebuild communities after natural disasters, collecting toys for needy children, tutoring kids in school. These are your sons and daughters who work to keep us safe, secure, and free. Dedicated men and women who put their country first.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet TV. As we come to you on a week-to-week basis, we're looking across the globe in 144 different nations, looking for the people, first of all, but also the technology, services, products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we will have 9 billion people on the planet by 2050, how are we going to be able to take care of them? And so we're talking and focusing much on water and energy, but at the same time housing and the medical facilities that are needed to take care of these people. We have a gentleman coming on. His name is William. He goes by Bill F. Guglielmo. He's CEO of ITL Solutions. And then sitting right beside me is Dr. Jose Colucci Rios, professor retired of University of Puerto Rico. And Bill, are you here with us by Skype?
Yes, good evening.
I'm glad to have you there, and thank you for being with us. And as you know, we have Jose sitting right beside me as our special guest as a backup. But tell us a little bit about ITL Solutions.
Well, first off, thank you for having me very much this evening. It's a great opportunity to speak with both of you and the opportunity to talk about how we as a company impact the Emerald Planet. ITL Solutions is primarily a government contractor for the United States. Our focus is on improving effectiveness and efficiency for our clients within the Department of Defense primarily, but throughout the United States government. Ownership of our country, we're both U.S. Navy veterans. Frank is a U.S. Navy veteran focusing on cyber operations and defense. Spent time with the U.S. Navy doing that as well as the Department of Justice, and has a lot of extensive experience doing federal government contracting in that realm.
Yeah, I'm going to put up I had the logo there for your main organization, ITL Solutions. I now have the Modula S up, which is what we're going to really focus on, combining the power and all these other things as far as construction is concerned. So tell us a little bit about Modula S, what it means, why such a unique name, and then what is the mission and vision of this particular branch of your organization?
Absolutely. So we're very pleased to be partnered with Modula S, and our company, having our experience, the Department of Defense, has been fortunate that Modula S is one of those partners that is supporting that same effort and doing so in a unique way to provide a sustainable solution. And Modula S is a net zero energy modular construction system that uses containers as the fundamental building blocks of the construction system. What makes it truly unique is its insulation system and the inherent antimicrobial fixtures and equipment that come along with it. Essentially, it becomes an economically effective green system within Modula S.
Now, looking at this as zero carbon emissions, zero as far as but more than that, it's just the fact is it just eliminates any use as far as the petrochemical energy sources and all that. How did you come up with that particular design? Because it's very unique. When I saw you at National Defense University through the Star Tides program, I said, this is an absolutely incredible product.
Yes, and we're very excited about it too. It's very unique proprietary technology that Jack Rutherford of Modula S developed, and it's the insulation, which is rated at R60+. And that means it's a passive system that is reducing the energy consumption that you would normally have on a building that would be due to the air conditioning needs. So when you're looking at very hot climates or very cold climates, the ability to provide that super insulation gives you the ability to reduce the energy demand and put a much smaller air conditioning or heating and ventilation system than you would normally need.
And that's why you can go with the solar and probably add wind to that if you like, because an R60 really is above even the lead design grade as far as your insulation and the roof, which is about 70% of your heat loss and gain. But if you have, is that a 60 R60 around the whole container itself?
Yes, and so the panels themselves are what make up the insulation, and they strap on all 4 sides, well, 6 sides in that effect. And what's key that too is that it also gives us the ability to tap into geothermal as one of our different aspects. So with wind, thermal, solar, and geothermal, we have quite a versatility there. And I give you an example of the insulation itself and how effective it is. The alpha testing was put on a building in Idaho, tested there, and it was reduced the energy consumption on that house from $700 a month to $100 a month. So really great, showing that it's using in a real world environment and has the ability to really make something over the long term effective.
Well, the whole thing about it too is that not only are reducing the energy needs that you have regardless of the cost, even if it's renewable, but the fact is it's just so much more comfortable. And whether in your very hot climates or your very cold climates, either way you still need to have insulation, and that's something I think, Bill, most people forget. Oh, it's hot, we don't need it, but you really do.
Oh, absolutely. And the ribbon wall technology that exists in our insulation is key to that, reflecting the thermal radiation that exists within those hot climates. And we see it as an important part of our Modula S system and the ability to keep the people inside of it cool. And it's passive, so you're not looking at the failure concerns that you would have. So with the ability to reduce the air conditioning load and provide a passive system in there, you're going to provide a much comfortable long-term solution for people, both in the United States and any emerging market you could see out there.
That's absolutely fantastic. Bill, I'm going to let my good friend Jose, who's sitting right beside me, to ask the next question. Jose?
Yes, good evening, Bill. I got a question. What does Modula S do differently than existing construction companies?
So we talked a little bit already about the insulation and the containers as being the integral parts of our construction. But some other unique factors that really make it different are what make it a healthy building. We've a partner with Cuvero and Roland Brass, and this Cuvero metal is 99.99% effective at killing bacteria and microbes. So when you look at that and you put it in a building, whether it's a clinic or a house, you have the ability to kill very serious infections such as E. coli, MRSA infections, and this is the metal. So it's long-term durability. You're going to be able to make it into light switches, handrails, sinks, bedposts, anything you can make into a current metal, it can be made into Cuvero. And it's EPA certified to have that 99.99% effectiveness in killing bacteria. So we see this as just another force multiplier in what makes Modula S unique and so different than what's out there with other existing construction.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and you're doing it so that's long-term, so actually you're embedding this particular material into the metal as it's manufactured?
It's not so much embedded as it is the metal itself. It's a copper-nickel alloy, and the copper itself creates an inherent antimicrobial capability. Over history, there's studies have shown that copper has that ability to kill bacteria, and our partners at Olin Brass have taken the time to take the long-term studies of it, make it into a metal that can be durable, that has the same characteristics of stainless steel, so we can put it in many of the same environments that you would normally see stainless steel, but instead of having stainless steel which can grow bacteria, a system that actually actively kills bacteria on contact.
That's absolutely incredible, and we're working on a project where we have a material that actually kills all blood-sucking insects. So combine these technologies together, we'll actually be able to clean up the areas in developing countries where they have a real need as far as cleanliness is concerned, but also to remove, a lot of the germs and bacteria and other things that are really a problem. What is this Ebola Grand Challenge? And tell us a little bit about that, and why it's so important to think about this type of challenge. So you're addressing healthcare delivery systems now, but as we go through the 21st century.
So the Ebola Grand Challenge is a great effort by the United States government, specifically the U.S. Agency for International Development, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, and the CDC. Along with the Department of Defense. And ultimately, they were looking for new technology and innovations that would help both preventing and treatment of Ebola if another outbreak were to occur, which sadly may happen again, and we need to be prepared for it. And they took 1,500 ideas and went through them and carefully determined which ones would be the most effective and efficient at fighting an outbreak. And 14 were selected. And if you go on the Ebola Grand Challenge website, you can see all 14. And Modula S was one of those selected. And out of that came the Modula S Ebola treatment facility. And it's a facility based off the standard 40-foot ISO containers, and it has the ability to be shipped anywhere in the world rapidly, and you can put it down when an Ebola outbreak would occur, and you can isolate those people and keep them out of the heat, out of all the things that make it so hard to treat Ebola, both for the patients themselves and for the nurses and doctors doing the work, and provide a sustainable solution to help contain those outbreaks quickly and effectively.
Yeah, and also, too, you're cleaning up the surrounding areas we were talking about earlier as far as that blanket material that we have as far as the mosquitoes and all the other things that are bringing infections and disease into the area. And if you're cleaning up the surrounding area, that's helpful because people are moving in and out of there. So it's almost like you're sanitizing, you know, the environment within the area of the units themselves. How do you move and construct these Modula S?
That is one of the fantastic things about Modula S. It is made out of the 20-foot and 40-foot ISO standard containers. So if you've ever driven past a ship going down a river or seen a truck with a big container on the back of it, those are the foundational capabilities of what make Modula S. So each of those pieces are essentially Legos that fit together, which means we can ship them via air, ship them via container ship, or ship them via intermodal truck, and use existing technologies that, you know, we saw in the previous guest had a forklift moving around some of his stuff. Same principles for us, and we can get it into place quickly and effectively within days to anywhere in the world.
Now, mounting this insulation, I've been involved in a number of construction projects over the year. Are you actually putting this inside the container, or does it go on the outside, or is it both?
It ships on the inside and mounts on the outside. So you would ship it, and when you get to the final location, pull those panels out, they snap on the outside, and you have yourself the insulation capability that you were looking for at R60+.
And so that goes right back to this Lego concept about how you put it together and all that. Jose, you have a last question. We have to be very quick because we have 2 questions for you, Bill.
Okay.
Yes, Bill, what do you see the role that Modula S was going to play in bringing these advanced sustainable technologies to emerging countries around the globe?
So one of the things that Modula S is focused on is the passive technology and making it very unique, reliable, and effective technologies that are going to be effective no matter what environment they're in. So when we look at emerging markets, they don't always have reliable power. They don't always have the access to everything we would see in other countries. So we provide the ability, if it's something that can be put down quickly, independent of any resources that are out there, and be used effectively without having to rely on those sometimes unreliable resources that are there in the country.
And they just don't exist, for one thing, in these areas. Bill, last question. We have to be quick. What do you see for the growth of the company over the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, one thing we know that's constant is change. No matter what's going to happen between now and the next 5 years, 10 years, we're going to see change. We're going to see population growth. And our ability to, both as a company and as a population, to flex, adapt, innovate, provide tough and resilient solutions is going to be the key to sustaining ourselves as we move towards 2050. We see efficiency as the key in this, and wherever we can get the most out of the resources, we're investing into it. And improving over the long term, we have the ability, both as ITL Solutions and Modula S.
Okay, Bill, we're going to lose you. ITL Solutions as we create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, excellent.
Good job.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folk, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit asha.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis as we bring you the best of the best technology, services, products that we're able to identify in over 144 different nations around the globe. Technologies that are making a difference now, but also that will be with us through the future as we head towards 2050. And many of these technologies, products, services are being improved as we speak, because as we add 2 billion people to the planet, we need to increase the quality of living and not just having people exist. And the things that we really like on Emerald Planet are things that are very small, they're toteable, portable, inexpensive, and easily deployed. And Frank D. Husson is with us, Jr. He's President, CEO of Solar Solutions, and they have two technologies. One is called AquaCone and the other is AquaPak. And these are solar water pasteurizers. And Frank, you're coming in by cell phone. Are you with us?
Yes, I am, Dr. Sam.
Glad to have you here, and I'm going to introduce my buddy sitting right beside me. This is Dr. Jose Colucci Rios. He'll be asking you a question or two as we move through Frank, and he's professor retired from the University of Puerto Rico. But Frank, thank you for coming in.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to talk to your viewers.
Well, glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about Solar Solutions and then also about your two technologies. One I know that is really expanding very rapidly around the globe, the AquaPak. AquaCone is kind of in hold right now, but just tell us about both and then we'll talk about the differences.
Well, back in 1996, I started Solar Solutions to develop inexpensive solar water purifiers for people in third world countries. This was in response to a report about how many children die every minute from drinking water with biological pathogens.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1996, we developed the AquaCone, which was a solar water distiller. And it was designed to take any kind of impurities out of water other than volatile organic compounds. But in 1998, the National Renewable Energy Labs in Golden, Colorado, did a big study where they looked at people in third world countries and what the best technology would be to use for them. And they came up with the fact that pasteurization was the best technology. And so because of that, we shifted from water distillation to water pasteurization. And we made the AquaPak, which is a solar water pasteurizer that can also be used to collect rainwater or use chlorine or silver to purify the water if there isn't enough solar energy to perform the pasteurization.
We have this slide up here right now which has your solar pack, Frank, and then right beside it is this chart as far as the time chart and the pasteurization of the water. Tell us what is important about this and what does this mean to the consumers in developing countries?
Well, I think this is the pasteurization chart done by Speakum some years ago. And it just shows you what temperature will kill many different biological pathogens, including salmonella and cholera and things of that sort.
Well, that's very important because, as you know, in many of these developing or what you now call emerging market economies, all of these are there in abundance, and particularly in many of these areas as people are moving more and more out of the rural areas into the cities. And with the concentration of people and lack of water and ability to really clean the environment as well as themselves, it's a real challenge to protect health in these areas. And I'm showing now the cone. Tell us a little bit about the cone, how it works, and then we'll talk about the differences between the AquaCone and the AquaPak.
Well, the AquaCone actually floats on a body of water. And it's hard to see, but in the center of the cone is an absorber. It's like an outdoor carpet that absorbs water from underneath it. The sun comes through the side of the cone, evaporates the water, and it condenses on the side walls and rolls down and is collected around the inner tube part of the AquaCone.
Well, it's a very simple technology, and that's why I've been impressed with it. But you were talking about the difference as far as the productivity of the pack versus the cone. Tell us about that, and we'll talk about the importance to the families within developing countries and how much water most of these 6-member families will use in a day.
Well, the biggest problem with the AquaCone is it doesn't produce a lot of water. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to change a water molecule from a liquid to a gas. And you can produce at least 10 times as much water in a pasteurizer, the same amount of solar energy as you can distillation. Also, the pasteurizer is easy to be used while you're traveling or doing anything. It can be left stationary or put on a boat or a donkey or a cart or anything else, or you can strap to your back while you're working.
Yeah, and looking at these people here, and Jose, why don't you go ahead and ask the next question? You're staying with us well, Frank, and so we're going to let Jose kick off.
Yes,
Okay, great.
Yes, good evening, Frank. I got a question. I know that your products and processes are typically invented and created for developing countries. What are the special challenges that you face in creating those processes and products?
Well, the production of the product is pretty straightforward. It was the National Renewable Energy Lab that identified the process of pasteurization as the preferred process. And it's fairly straightforward to capture solar energy and change it into heat and heat the water.
Now, looking at these technologies, we have a group of citizens standing here with the solar pack, and we have this young lady sitting in her home here with one in front with the stove in the back. But tell us, why is there such a tremendous market for this type of pasteurization in the third world countries that you don't really see in the developed countries around the globe?
Well, pasteurization is used a tremendous amount around the globe, but not used for water. In fact, there's 1 billion liters of milk pasteurized every day in the industrialized world, along with many gallons of beers and wines and honey and other liquids.
But looking at the pasteurization, why is there a need, let me phrase it that way, for this type of system that's so small, easily to ship, easily to take into these, and I'm going to use this term gingerly, but remote areas, and that could be the inner city, on the seacoast, or 500 or 1,000 miles inland at the top of a mountain, because the distribution is very difficult in some cases for 60-70% of the population.
Yes, there's a tremendous amount of the population in the developing world that do not have potable water. And again, a number of children die every minute from drinking water with these pathogens in it.
Yeah, and it's something that's really needed, and we're looking at these children here, but people don't realize that the challenges you have, it's not only the malarias and the dengue fever, yellow fever, and these other kinds of things, but just the aspect of worms that maybe half to 60% of the population will have just by drinking the local water because it's not clean enough. But you're on a worldwide basis with this, and we congratulate you on that, Frank. This is tremendous what you're doing. But what's some of the special challenges that you face from the consumers in these countries, but also from the governments as far as introducing something that looks, you know, very useful, it's inexpensive, and readily available, or can be made readily available in these communities?
The biggest problem we have is that we have to educate the customers that things they can't see in the water can actually make their children sick or to die. Finding entrepreneurs to set up factories for us in these developing countries is another problem.
Well, looking at that, let's just pursue that if you don't mind, Frank. What would be needed, because this is a global television program, we're all over the globe. So if someone's watching this and they would say like to be in contact and try to manufacture these in countries, which is increasing employment opportunities, and that's a problem in most of these countries, not enough opportunity for the young people, what would they have to go through, and what would be the amount of space or the amount of investment they would need to do that?
In general, the cost to set up a manufacturing facility would be about $25,000.
Oh my goodness, well, that's very reasonable.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's what they call thermal impulse sealing. It's just a hot bar that's used to seal the polyethylene, which is a thermoplastic.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. I had no idea. We're just about running out of time, Frank, and just where do you see your organization being in, say, the next 5, 10, 15 years as we move towards 2050? And we have just about a minute, so that'll give you some time to really think about it and talk about where you want to be.
Well, I hope in 5 to 10 years we're providing the detectors that come with the pasteurizer, called WAPIs, water pasteurization indicators, to dozens of independently owned AquaPak manufacturing facilities around the developing world.
Well, I tell you, when you look at these slides you provided of where your technology is being used, it's absolutely incredible to think about, just like this lake here, the pathogens that's in that water and what you can do with that to actually purify it and make it clean for everybody that's there. So we're going to go out with this image of these young men pouring this clean water out. And Frank, thank you for being with us. We really appreciate you sharing information about your technology, but it's very interesting about the jobs that you can actually produce and create in country at a very low rate of entry. So that's absolutely fantastic. And Jose, thank you for being with us. And thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the Emerald Planet.